We will officially get started. Hello, this is the Momentum System meeting for December 3rd, 2024. And today is an open session. If anybody has specific questions, feel free to post those in the chat or say them when we come around. But I'm just going to start with you, Ree, and start with something good and something that's been a challenge. And just kind of open the conversation there. Before we hit record, we were talking about the challenges and also something good of holidays because it was Thanksgiving last week. And all of us, I think, who are here in the US ended up with like that is a real holiday. Like it's just everything's different. And the last few years, personally, I have been running Black Friday sales over the holiday, and they'd all been written ahead of time. So I didn't have a ton of stuff to do, but it was like I had to kind of be in it. And this year I didn't, which was nice. It was a nice change. So anyway, Ree, what else is going on? Tell us,
What else is going?
previous to the holiday. Let's predate.
Yeah. So previous to the holiday, I had conducted 4 interviews, which I can just glance at my project tracker. There they are, one, two, three, 4 triangles.
Hmm. And these are
Uh,
customer research interviews or like market
right,
research. Yeah.
right. And I gathered a bunch of information. The main information I'm finding out is that people need support organizing themselves to organize.
Hmm.
Like getting started is hard. Figuring out what to do with the stuff is a big challenge for a lot of people. Like, and it's something I don't really have good answers for. There's no good way to get rid of stuff in this culture. Because there's so much of it. Um, I don't want to be the person who like runs an Etsy store just to help people sell their stuff, but maybe there's somebody who can do that. But a lot of people are conscious of like there's this range in the clutter land of people who like let it build up, but then they just do it themselves. Um, versus people who let it build up and they need support, versus people who are just like the kind of like on the side of hoarders. They'll just never get to it. But accessing someone like that seems a little mysterious to me. Like finding them and then getting them to want help or like getting them to own that they want help. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's important to not go for people who don't know they want help.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
There's
yeah,
plenty of
yeah,
people who know they want help, whether or not they've been able to start it at all.
yeah, yeah.
Um, that's plenty of people to fill your practice without trying to get to the people who are like, it's
Okay.
fine.
Yeah, so that's good to hear because like part of me, like there's the part of me that just wants to help, right? That really wants to be of service. And it's actually great to remember that I can't help everybody anyway. Um, yeah. So help the people I can help in whatever
Yeah, and
way
I
I
mean, you're
can.
one person, and if you build out this business and you have a few people, you're still just a few people. Like you're going to be able to help
Yeah.
a certain number of
Yeah.
people and help them a lot, make really big changes in their lives. Um, but you're not going to be able to reach a massive number,
Yeah.
and
Well,
like so
unless I have a
choose.
YouTube, unless I have it like a
Yeah,
public
I mean
persona.
that's an option in terms of helping more people, but the point is
Yeah.
like you get to choose. You get to choose who
Mhm.
you're going to work with and
Yeah.
where you're going to focus. And so I recommend going in group two, the people who are they're aware of the problem and they want help.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
people have a lot of sense of guilt and responsibility about their stuff in terms of getting rid of it. They're like, I bought
Yeah.
this thing or I was given this thing and now I have a job to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So finding I do think that if you, asked around, you probably would find somebody who's interested in running an Etsy store or has an Etsy store and would be interested in
Yeah.
getting stuff to sell.
Yeah. So it's on my list of like building partnerships with people, so that all the pieces that I don't want to do or can't do, I know people who do want to do and can do and love to
Yeah.
do. So that's yeah. So the Etsy store or whatever that is definitely on that list or a local estate sale company.
Hmm.
Um,
It also doesn't need to stop you though, because I don't think you need to promise you can help them deal with all this stuff.
Oh no, no, no. It's just building out the model that I'm working on. And obviously, like it's that I'm just parking somewhere. But it's come up already. Like, what the hell do I do with this stuff? It's actually has some value, or occasionally there will be things with a lot of value. And it's just like supporting people to find the path for that stuff to go out is actually, I think, part of decluttering. I mean,
Yeah,
for
for sure.
me,
For sure. Yeah.
like valuing, evaluating. I mean, it's also something I'm really good at. So it's just like knowing the difference between junk and treasure. Like
Hmm.
just monetarily, like there's other like value structures for that.
Sure, of course. Yeah.
Something I have noticed, and I'm noticing it also because I'm writing, like that seems to be part of my creative work at the moment, which is hilarious to me. In both of these, like I'm speeding up. Like I listened to one of my interviews with someone, and I like was resorting to my old tricks of interrupting and having opinions. And like it's okay for me to be knowledgeable, but I'd like to actually dial it back how I share that and let more of the other person emerge. So it's like, oh, look at me doing that. Um, Jessica.
Well, I don't want to interrupt your like train of thought, but as you were talking about your different, like the different kind of groups that you're talking to, it came to mind for me that I am inheriting a lot of clutter.
Yeah.
My aunts, especially, when my grandmother died, my mom is one of seven, so I have a lot of aunts who it was a big fight over all of the belongings of my grandmother, and it got, split up. And now my aunts are aging and realizing that they have a lot of clutter. And I am being sent entire boxes of things that my aunts gathered from my grandmother. And a lot of it ends up in the trash because I don't have anything to do with it. I mean, I don't,
There's nowhere for it to go.
there's nowhere for it to go. And some of it I can give to my daughters, but it's like it's just adding to the clutter of my house. And I'm having to figure out, what to do with all this stuff. If I throw it away, if I give it to Goodwill, if I, there's some valuable things in the mix, but I don't have the time or capacity to sell it. So I wonder if there's a if
No,
there's
no,
like
it
a,
sounds like a
a
service.
group
You
for
just,
me.
yeah. Yeah, no, I mean yeah, that is actually there is a couple people I've talked to are like widows who have inherited their collector husbands. Like your Elizabeth
Oh, my
is one of
husband's gonna be
them.
the worst.
Yeah, I mean it was something I was terrified actually with my ex-husband because his parents are like huge collectors of things and their house is chock full of stuff and it just gave me so much anxiety. And my ex can't get rid of anything. And I
Mm.
just like that. And now I'm off the hook from having to deal with it. But it gave me anxiety for many years. Yeah. So it was you, Lisbeth, and another woman I talked to. And the other woman I talked to, she's just like methodically getting rid of stuff. Um, I met her because she put treasures in the street that I picked up. Um, danger, danger. Yeah. So for me, like the place where I'm like assigning myself the task and not quite getting to it, I did work on it a little bit, was actually writing up the offerings. I notice I get like kind of spacey and bored really fast with that. So I'm wondering if I can find another method, like maybe recording myself talking to somebody. Um,
Yeah, it's a
uh,
really good one. Yes, that's a really good idea. And I think that even recordings of this, of us talking, going back and getting ways you're
yeah,
expressing things and what you're talking, when you tell us about a problem that you are seeing, like that's something that then can make it into your sales copy.
yeah.
Um, yeah, for sure. Um, when you started talking, there was something else. It was the types, and there was some other piece of this that I wanted to say something about, and then I lost it. Mm, oh, the people are having trouble starting.
Hmm.
So One thing you might think about here in terms of making this something like, I don't think you really need to do at this point list building, particularly like email list, although you do want to have an email list where you can let people know about availability and, share stories or whatever. So I would definitely recommend setting something up if you don't have one. Or if you do have a system, I'm sure it's for other things. And so tag people who come in this way. But some kind of like freebie or thing that you can offer to help people kind
Mm,
of get ready would be a checklist of some kind or like a little quick, easy document, which is like, here's what you need in order to get started decluttering. Like
yeah.
you have clutter, you're, intimidated by it. It just, you have on your list like declutter and it never goes anywhere because it's a project, it's not a task. That's like my framework for that, right?
Yeah, no,
Um,
I love that. I'm just gonna steal from you,
oh,
Jessica.
well, and I stole it too. Like it's not proprietary. I'm just saying that's what I've been teaching you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the that idea that the people are like, I just need to declutter. It's like, then they look at it and it's like which is what's happening to you with the sales copy, by the way. You're like, write sales copy, and you're like, because you don't, like what goes
Yeah.
into it? What do I do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so giving them a little thing, which is like, here's your task list for declutter, like for get ready to declutter. This, and this, you know, and the having something along those lines, I think would be um, useful. And you don't want to obviously like going for the people who need support. Like this is our group of people you're going for. People who have clutter, are committed, like they need to do something about it, but they need support. They either
Oh,
need or want support.
yeah.
So
There,
you want to give them enough to feel like this is something that if I can help you with it, I'm going to be the person who can help you. I can be the help that you need. And so first you need to get your head around this, and this is what I'm going to give you in this freebie.
yes. Go ahead, Lisbeth.
Yeah, I was just thinking that maybe one of your target groups is actually people who are sort of in women in the middle of life, who are in between the clutter, dealing with the clutter of kids who've moved away from home, who are not getting their stuff. That's one type of clutter that's still in their house, and who need support somehow organizing it, or who also need support organizing maybe their parents. Or so there's a willingness, there's an openness, there's kind of a pilot in there, but that pilot can't quite get to do it because it's an uncomfortable role to be in as a mom or as a child of someone who's not clean, so it's like you would be the gift, the person
Mm,
who can help kind of mobilize something that's, hi Jennifer, that's stagnant. I mean, that might be a more, might be an interesting way of thinking of a target group, like literally
yeah.
women who are who really want to declutter but are not
Yeah.
kind of getting
Also,
that.
don't they just don't have the time, right? Like the what is it called? The sandwich
Yeah.
between the kids and the parents.
Yeah. And I would actually really like very concretely aim for sandwich generation, or like people who are in that place where and just post that. Like you were a sandwich. Now you're like all of a sudden your kids are away and your parents have died or have moved, downsized and like you have all their stuff. New problem.
Yeah.
Sandwich was one problem, but you still have the
Mm,
career, you
yeah.
know, and now you have money because your kids are done. You know what I mean? So this is like ideal for you. Like that's the kind of thing you want to, those are the problems you want to be talking about, I think.
Yeah.
Is being in that position. One thing you might want to think about is Mother's Day promos.
Oh. Although this is something sort of bleak about that.
Yeah, but if your mom is constantly like complaining about your stuff in her house,
Oh.
um,
Oh.
or
Oh,
your
that's so.
wife,
Oh, yeah. Mother's Day promo, right? Because it's not the mother who's buying it; it's
her
her
spouse
people.
or children are like,
Yeah,
let's get something
yeah,
great. Let's support mom in
yeah,
this. And you
yeah,
could have some
yeah.
kind of like, you'll bring a cake or something. You know what I mean? Like it,
Flowers,
yeah. You'll
beautiful
bring
flowers.
flowers and you will handle, one room of stuff. like a
Mhm.
mini taster version of this.
Yeah.
And then then they're like, okay, I definitely want this for everything.
Yeah. So something that I'm bumping into already is like there's the coaching paradigm where I'm just kind of giving a structure and saying go do, but people want company. They want company, they want like their handheld, they
Mhm.
want like another like people like one thing that's hard for people is deciding
Hmm.
and having an external voice who's not like embedded in all the stories. I mean, like we put all these stories, like I don't know, I think we're all secretly animists. Most people deny it. I'm open about my animism, but yeah, yeah. So, and I like I mean, I already have a model, which is I can probably find young people just out of college who are willing to work for like $30 an hour just to be company for somebody once the structure's going. I love being around young people. I don't know if everybody does. Maybe everybody does. Um,
I like
yeah,
young people.
I know you do.
Um, but yeah, I think that the $30 an hour is a lot of money. Like
Not
for
here, not here it is.
no? All right,
No.
well,
Oh my God.
good.
Yeah. Also,
But
I
that sounds
also
that sounds
I like it's one of my values to pay
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah. I mean, if that's a living wage, then great. But like
I mean
that's
the living wage is officially something like 17, but there is no fucking way you can actually live around here on that.
yeah, I'm just saying like I would if you're going to be hiring people as contractors, think about what's going to be sustainable for you in terms of what you can charge and
Yes.
then, like look for that differential. Pay
Yeah.
fairly for sure, but like maybe give yourself some room to give people raises, you
Okay.
know?
Yeah.
Think about that like strategically in terms of how this is
Yeah.
going to fit into your profit model.
I will. And also whatever I pay them, I'm paying taxes and stuff on top of that. So it's I got
If you hire them as employees, but this may be a contractor job.
not in California.
Mm, okay. Yeah, because the laws have changed there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Jessica.
Jessica.
Um, okay, so when you started talking about this, I immediately thought of you doing video conference kind of engagements where
Hmm.
I mean, I did this with my real estate agent when we were moving from North Denver down to Colorado Springs. Um, we would just do like I have an Android, she has an iPhone, so we couldn't really do FaceTime, but we would do like a Zoom or a Google Meet where we would have cameras on. And
Hmm.
we would, I would show her what I was looking at, or she would show me what she was looking at, and we would just talk through things. I could really imagine you doing the same thing where somebody's, okay, got everything organized in a room, they've got piles, and now they just need your eyeballs on their piles of stuff so they can talk through things. You both have phones. You use some kind of video conference on your phone. Zoom is very easy on a phone. And they can show you what they are looking at, and you can talk through their
Hmm.
decisions with them. You don't have to hire anybody. It's just a mobile video conference kind of
Yeah.
scenario. That's immediately what came to mind when you were talking about this.
So that works for some people, but I had a woman actually say, "Oh, I need a body double. I need
Mm,
someone
gotcha.
physically in the room with me." So I can't be all things for all
Yeah.
people, but it's a category that I'm like, oh, that's a category.
Yeah, and I
And
think it's a luxury service. Like when you're in there, you're like physically, they're paying for your entire 8 hour day or 6 hour day or whatever it is. That's a very premium offer. And, you have those kinds of people in Berkeley who can pay that amount of money that it would be. But like the difference between that and like a video conference or like a sort of advice coaching is huge,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
And
have
it could be a
tier.
thing where like you come in and do something and then you delegate somebody to be there for a series of sessions. You come back at some point, like you can
Yeah,
blend it
yeah.
that way as
And by
well.
the way, my aunts that I was just talking about who keep sending me boxes of stuff are all
Uh-huh.
in the Bay Area.
Oh, great.
I could send you to their houses.
I'd love to meet them, and I could like have them send you exactly what you want and nothing else.
That would be
I
amazing.
mean that's kind of a cool service. Like send your heirs what they want,
Well,
not
there's
what.
the trend for Swedish death cleaning, you know, where do you know this thing?
I could guess. I could guess.
It's, I mean,
Is
it's
it
older
is it
people cleaning out their stuff so they do not burden their children with it.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no,
Am I right,
I'm
Elizabeth?
she's Danish though, right?
Well, yeah, but it's a region, so I think there's probably cultural trends. Um,
Thank you.
The Gentle
Gentle
Art of
art.
Swedish Death Cleaning. Yeah, that's a book that came out. Um, anyway, that's something that like for older people could be an angle,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
don't want to dump all this stuff on your children, because it happened to you and it sucked. Like, let's deal with it now.
Yeah, so that actually reminds me, like I realized that writing the offering means I need to start thinking about how to outreach and actually acquire clients. And I realized there's some emotional like it's like between me and that. Like I know once I start, it'll be fine, I think. But it's like that first, like actually landing I don't know. It's just like I'm like, how do I do
Yeah,
that?
I mean, the system that I have in the, business coaching is around having warm letters, which are not either literal letters or it's texts or you're physically talking to people, but it's like reaching out to everybody saying, I'm offering this thing.
Oh,
Know
right.
anyone?
You have a system.
Yeah, I have a system.
I'll just follow your system. That's why I'm here. I, I mean, it's literally why I'm here. Like, I
Yeah.
want a system and
Yeah,
a
there's a whole system
container.
for this. Yes.
All right, good. Then I'm not, that's what I thought, but
Yeah.
it's nice to have it.
Yeah. I mean, if
Yeah.
we get back into doing business coaching at some point, then there's like a whole bunch more you haven't seen yet.
Hmm.
We did the beginning part, just that little
Yeah.
bit, and like the whole
Yeah.
writing the sales page and the
Yeah. Yeah.
marketing plan and stuff is all in there. So,
Okay. Great.
yep.
Great. Yeah,
Um,
so for me it's just like I feel good about this. I just like I need to now that Thanksgiving's over and before Christmas comes, I have like maybe 3 weeks, but like there's work I'd like to do. Because I find that when I work even like 15 minutes on this coaching on this business, even 15 minutes, then all of my creative work actually feels really good and starts flowing. Like it's like my anchor. So it
well, and also I feel like you're moving something ahead that's going to create this space ongoing for your creative
yeah,
work. And I think that gives you
yeah,
permission in some sense too, to be like,
totally.
this is now I'm good.
Yeah,
So that's good information. Make sure that you have, time, you have a task list that's granular enough that you can knock something out
yeah,
in 15, 20
yeah.
minutes
Yeah.
and that you have a slot of time in your day to
Yes.
do it.
Yes.
Um, and I gotta say, like aiming to get some outreach, even if you don't have anything written yet, you're just doing it ad hoc. You just know what your
Yeah.
price list is going to be. You don't have anything to
Yeah.
give anybody. January 1st, everyone's
Okay.
going to be like, I got to get all this crap out of my house post holidays. I'm dying here. Like, this is
Yeah.
the time. So you're going
Yeah.
to definitely have that energy that you can tap into.
Yeah. So when would I send it? On January 1st?
Yeah, I would wait till after the holidays. Yeah.
I just want you to know my birthday is January 2nd.
Oh, well, happy prospective birthday.
Thank you. I just like timing this thing is but we'll have another
I mean,
call
there's never a
before.
bad time to send this. It's just like I'm
Okay.
doing this thing, you don't want to send it like on December 24th or something like that, right? But like if you started talking to people now, like I'm going to be doing this starting in January, that's fine,
Mhm.
right? Or you can say
Okay.
like, hey, holidays are over. I don't know about you. My house is crazy. This is what I'm going to be doing. If you know anybody who needs me,
Okay.
look me
Great.
up.
And Jessica Maring, I will totally take you up on writing copy or whatever.
Good.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
great.
I'll hit you up on Kajabi.
Um, all right, Jennifer, something good, something that's been a challenge.
Mm, all right. S- Something good is just that I am continuing I sort of made the next version of my tracker and I decided December 1st was like a nice clean date to start. And so I've been using it for 2 days. Well, three, if you include today. And I like it. It's feeling good. And I think one of my insights is that it's actually, and this isn't like totally surprising to me, but I intended this to be about doing work, like in a certain sense, but it's actually just been this really lovely, the last 2 days anyway, it's felt like a form of self-care. Because I was feeling really burned out and I kind of, even all the way through the holiday break, I was really burned out. And I think for me, an antidote to burnout is actually reconnecting with what I care about. And so even though I didn't really want to, I was like, I would have actually just kept consuming massive amounts of television if it were up to me. But I had promised to do this and I had set up a structure myself and I thought a lot about it. And like sitting down and doing that actually has been so healthy and helpful. Um, so I'm really grateful for that. I would say a challenge is just like the general burnout that I've been feeling and the, overall level of energy, but that just is what it is right now. And it'll be what it is until it's something else. And I'm kind of okay with that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
keeping things simple right now.
I mean, that is definitely the way, especially given the background situation that you're in. But what I do want to say is this is great information. Just like I was saying to Ree about the doing a little bit on the business in the morning. It's
Mhm.
like this gives you a sense of like accomplishment for your day.
Yes.
And I would not be surprised if it does help with the background burnout
Yeah,
because you just like bit by bit, you're like, no, I'm paying myself first. Like I get to have this. And then, things can fit in around it.
exactly. Yeah. I have a pretty good feeling about that and some hopes for it. To kind of even expand. I was like, well, what if I started with this and then I could add this doing this daily and this daily? It's like, and I'm not like trying to go from 1 to 100 at all at once. But I
Mm.
can see the potential. And so I'm excited about it. I'm feeling energized by it.
Great.
Yeah.
That's great.
I will say one thing that, and this kind of goes along with that, one thing that I added to my tracker and to my practice is that I want to finish something every day and I'm tracking what I've finished. And it can be like the tiniest thing, but for some reason that makes a huge difference for me to be able to say I finished something. And I decided like, and I'm kind of making different thresholds of like, even on days when I have very low capacity. And if I do like this, the most small, tiny thing, I'm going to take a picture of it and record it and call it finished. And then I can like have something to look back on because I think that's one of the things I haven't done in the past. And it's made it really hard for me to have a sense that I've actually done anything. And so
Hmm.
like I'm kind of it's just like a tiny practice and this tiny addition to this new phase of the tracker and to the practice, I guess. But it feels really good. So anyway,
Yeah, I
that's
think that's, yes, very much so. Like just this is why one of the first things, so next week we're going to do our quarterly reflection and planning-ish, just mostly reflection.
mhm,
And so this week, I want you guys to do that activity. And the first thing in the activity is what did you do? Like what happened?
yeah.
Because there's so many things that we do. This is why I'm such an advocate of, or one reason I'm such an advocate of quota tasks as well.
Mhm,
That quota tasks, you can say like I did this, and you check it off, and like that is completion. It's completion
yep.
of what you promised yourself, even
Yep.
if the task itself can't be completed in that amount of time.
Mhm,
And so that sense of like, I am moving, I am doing things, I'm keeping faith with myself, I am, like, I am not an, incapable, whatever, you know what I mean? Like all of those factors that go into it. And I feel like that's when I'm doing my quarterly review, when I'm doing, even a daily thing, one of the things I do is just like, what did I literally do? Like,
yeah.
how did I spend my hours? And sometimes if I'm on the computer all day, I actually go back to my history because I forgot to write down or take note. I'll be
Mhm,
like, oh, right, I did that whole thing this morning, and completely forget that that's what I did.
yeah. Yeah.
So, my sort of little daily log, which is just a paragraph that I do at the end of the day or throughout the day, I'll kind of put notes in if I remember. That's basically like I did this, I did this, I did this. If there are feelings about it or something happened, I will put them in there too. But mostly it's just like this happened because then I mean, I remember for long enough to like then at the end of the week when I'm doing my weekly review, I'm looking at how do these things, like how do the week add up, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's a great practice. I hope you keep up with it because I think that that is underrated, you know,
Mhm.
like journals that are like when I wrote a journal when I was a teenager, and I'm not really a journaler outside of like this kind of thing, right, that I'm doing now. Um, it's just like pages and pages of the same emotional whatever, just going through like cycles, you know, but I don't know what I did. Like there's nothing
Yeah.
in there about like what did I do? And
Hmm.
now I don't remember, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it's new for me in a way to really, so I think it's going to be good to lean into.
yeah, great. All right. Jess, do you want to jump in?
Sure. Yeah, I don't really have anything to report on my progress. I'm just kind of plugging away, really hoping to get that tool kind of finalized this week. But just been doing a lot of thinking, a lot of journaling, a lot of reconnecting with the purpose of everything. And had a really great weekend where I did a lot of art. I got out in nature with my macro lens and spent time with my kids, went to church, like did all the things that just fill the well for me. So I'm feeling good entering this week, even even with the state of my business being what it is. Um, I'm feeling just like I'm in a reconnecting season right now, which is
Hmm.
a good thing.
Yeah, so important to carry you through challenges like that is it's so easy to fall into the hole where you're like, this is the only thing I can pay attention to right now.
Hmm.
And it's really crucial not to let that happen.
Yeah, it's uh it's a really easy place for me to fall into. And I tell this to my husband all the time at the end of work days where I feel like I've been in front of my computer all day and I have nothing to show for it. When business is not good, I feel like I can't be away from my computer. Like I'm not allowed. I am not justified being away from my computer when business is not good. Even if I'm just sitting in front of this screen, obsessing over LinkedIn, doing nothing productive, I'm not allowed to be away from my screen when business is not good, which I know is just bad psychology and something I need to like fix. So yeah, when I'm doing other things, you guys want to see the bunny that I painted this weekend? Like this
Yeah,
is
of
the kind of
course.
stuff where I just feel like, okay, this is the kind of stuff I need to be doing to remind myself that it is okay to be away from my computer and that it's healthy for me to be away from my computer even when business is not good. I'm going to send you a request to share. Go. See this little bunny that I painted this weekend.
Oh my gosh, so cute.
That's wonderful.
I love it.
Yeah, it's like little things like that that remind me it is good and healthy to be away from my computer.
Yes,
That's my that's my little bunny.
so much so. So much so. Love
Yeah.
the bunny. Love the
Thanks.
energy.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Plugging away though.
Hmm. Yep. Just remember to keep taking breaks and get away, even during the week.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I need it. It's not healthy for me to be obsessed with LinkedIn right now. It is good to step away,
There's only so
reconnect.
much you can do. So
Yeah.
maybe make a quota task.
Yeah. Good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm resetting.
Okay. Elizabeth, how about you?
Well, some good stuff has been, I think in general, I have surprisingly, at times, a much better energy, like not quite the burnout energy. It still goes up and down, I'll explain, but then I'm struggling with this making lists, but I think it's working and I developed a tracker. It's kind of starting to look like this. Can you see?
Okay.
And then
Good.
what was what was so straight, and I have another thing, but it's divided up into my priorities and then particular things that I want to do. And I explained that on another piece of paper so I can keep it really simple. Um, and then this is like, then I can just post my daily. So this is just today, so I can see it in front of me. And then I found this little Chinese stamp. I mean, I have so many things that I'm trying to organize, as I've said. So, and I had these tiny little stamps, and then I was trying to figure out, like, what does it even mean? Like, why would I use that as a little, like my little star thing so I can stamp it? And then it turned out that it's actually, or it might mean complete. Like,
Oh.
it made me so happy.
Yeah.
So crazy that I had this stamp that I didn't know what meant. That apparently I was using Google Translate, so it might not be true. But I just started. It just cracked me up yesterday. I realized it. So, and then I think I just, in general, I need to time track. It's like I just don't really know what I'm using my time on. I know I'm using it a lot, looking for a table. Like I mean, I just like go to the site and I look for tables, and I don't buy any. So I do these kinds of really wasteful tasks, but maybe that's okay. And then
I
this
mean, if
idea,
you need a table, you need a table, I think. But the
I
other thing
do
is
need
like
a table.
I know you can go down one can go down a rabbit hole on stuff like that. And so
Like
I
it has to
think,
be the perfect table, you know.
yeah, of course it has to be the perfect table. I mean, don't settle for less for sure. Um, Ree, what did you want to add to that?
So I just like the question is like, what's right about spending all this time looking for the table and just sit with that instead of making it wrong? I once had a therapist say to me, you're looking, I was like spending all this time on Etsy looking at vintage clothes. And she said, oh, it's good. You're maybe what you're doing is trying to figure out who you are, like what you look like.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's just like if you allow the yes for the table, like even if it seems to take up too much time, you don't know what actually that search is giving you.
Yeah, I'll
So
get that when I
when
get.
you make it wrong, yeah,
Yeah, I
ability.
think that's good. That's a good insight on that. I also feel like there are times when you just get stuck in a loop, like looking at the thing and refreshing and whatever, and oh, hit this other link, hit this other link, hit this other. So there's definitely like a little like it's not wrong. There's nothing wrong with doing it. You need this and
But
but
it's part of the screen dynamic, that it sets
yeah.
you up to continue. So I'm aware of that. And then the logging thing, I wanted to ask, like, how how people log in a good and very, very simple way. Like, should I put it here? Should I put it, it's like I've tried so many different logging methods, so I'd be open for advice about logging.
Are you
Log,
doing it
log,
by
logging
hand?
what?
Like logging, what you just said, Jessica, like you
What
take,
happened?
yeah, what happened today? Like, what did I actually do? I mean, because this gives me some sense of the granular things I'm looking at, but maybe I'm actually and what Jennifer said is actually because I'm getting more energy. So once I complete the 3 hours or whatever it is I set out to do, then I want to do more. It's like because it feels good. So I think I'm actually doing more than
Well,
I
so you want to do this
imagined.
on paper, right?
Mhm.
You
Probably.
want to log on paper,
Yeah.
like in a
Yeah.
notebook or something?
Yeah.
I mean, I would say, like in sometimes in my life, I've used just a planner, like a weekly planner that
Okay.
is, like a just a blank week, not a bunch of fancy stuff. But it's like a week view, week at a time, rather than like a month or a day. And then there's just like a little chunk of space, and I would
A
just
little
write
slot.
down.
Yeah, that would be good.
And then you don't have any like you can figure out when it was, you can go back and look. There's sort of a limit on how much you can write because it's just,
Hmm.
a space and you don't feel like you need to just keep going.
Right.
You could try that, see if that works.
I'll try
If
that. Yeah.
not, there's also like online or unblocked notebooks of various kinds, just line notebooks. And you can just write it in order. Just start a page
Hmm.
and keep going, make a line across, new date, da da da, and do you know about the bullet journal system?
I have tried it, and I made it very
I'm not
complicated.
trying to recommend the
I
bullet
went
journal. That's
into
not
a
what I'm saying. But what I do
section.
love about the bullet journal system is indexing. So the one thing that's cool is that, well, there's various cool things for some people it works really well, fine. But like the really cool idea is that at the first few pages of your notebook, any new notebook is an index. And so if you buy a book that's intended for this purpose, they're already page numbered, or you can just number them as you go. And you just say like, page one, log, blah, blah, blah. And then if you're using the same notebook for, say, your green room or something, you skip to page 75, Project Green Room, and then you put it in your index. And so you can easily find stuff in your books. And you
Right.
can also add
Yeah.
stuff where you're like, page 20, this is where this big event happened. Like if I'm trying to find it, it was these dates. Like you can add stuff to your index. You leave a few pages blank at the beginning to have like notes on what you're doing. And that makes it more flexible.
Yeah, I tried that. My perfectionism had a hard time with it. But maybe now that I'm facing my monsters and stuff, I can do it again.
Well, again,
But
look at it just as like, what did I do?
yeah,
So
yeah.
whether or not you're logging, like there's some suggestions in the chat that are good
Mm,
about,
mm.
logging stuff and time trackers and things like that. Time flip or Timeular are these physical objects you can track with if you don't want to be on the computer. You can set it up ahead of time to have the different faces of this polyhedron correspond to different things you do. And then
Yeah.
when you're switching activities, you switch the little thing and it
Mhm.
syncs with your computer. So later you have a record of what you did.
Oh,
Um,
what was that? I'm sorry, I was reading.
this one's called Time Flip, and there's another one called Timeular.
Okay, time flip and timular. All right.
Yeah, and they're in the time tracking. Links to them are in the time tracking lesson in CFW.
Okay, I think that
Um,
that's what I'm just jumping over. That's what I'm saying. Basically, I'm realizing I sort of skipped the part that's really hard for me.
so if you want to time track, those are good ways to do it without having to use a spreadsheet and like type stuff in. You have to set it
Mm,
up. So it's like 8 sides or 9 sides or whatever that is, and you have to say which one is which, and you put a little marker on each side for what it is so that you can use it. So there's a little setup time. But once you've set it up, then it's like, you know, personal care stuff, eating
cool.
and food prep, working on your decluttering project, working on artwork, whatever, like all the different kinds of things you do, and you can flip it more easy, and just kind of go through your day. That's one
That's
option.
okay.
Um, but even without time tracking at all,
Mm,
if it's a no-go right now and you're not doing it and it's just becoming a problem, to think about it, then I would say just do what we talked about and create a log. What did you do basically today? Like, what did you work on? What are the things that filled your day? In a not hour by hour kind of way or how much time kind of way, but like, what are the things? And so the logging, keep it simple. Don't let it become something that's like it needs to be a detailed description of what this was like for me. No, like I spent an hour on blah, blah, blah. That's it.
right.
Or even not even spend an hour. I don't say that either. I'm just like spent most of the day on on this. Like yesterday, I was rewriting my coaching page and I spent basically all day on it, and I just wrote down, spent all day on this. So that's not, it's very simple. And that's why something like a week planner can work for it. Because if you're trying to really journal it and, like kind of fill the whole thing in, you're going to run out of room.
Mm.
But if
Simple,
you're just
simple,
keeping it
simple for
simple,
me.
it'll be fine.
If I could just mention, I don't want to take too much time because last time I felt like we ended up, uh, I took too much time. But I just wanted to say that I'm having trouble saying no to a couple of things.
Hmm.
And my husband's really sick and he's been declared terminal. That is, uh, yeah, he's dying. So, and that I think it means a lot for me to be part of this group because it's kind of directing me towards a future and towards all kinds of other ideas. But there is always this background of what some of what I call decluttering is really that there's this immense chaos that I can't do anything about.
Mm.
So this is really helping me to see that that's just like churning around, and it took like another kind of role, you could say, And that's what ends up taking a lot of my time, frankly. So I'm aware of it. Yeah, so I just wanted to say
I
that.
mean, that is in some, I mean, I know that you've been going through various challenges with family members for a long time,
A
you know,
long time.
and
Yeah.
so this is not a new situation for you. But the fact that it's like up there with your top priorities, if not the most tippy top priority
Mm.
on any given day, it's going to always be competing. And so that's completely understandable. And, you know,
And the contingency planning, I think, came at a very, I mean, the timing was amazing because basically that's where I am now. It's yeah. So thanks for that.
yeah.
That's
And if
all.
you have trouble with specific no, things you need to say no to,
I have to
then
cancel some things, and so one of them is that I've planned this trip to Goa to do yoga and have a little retreat with some people that I already know, and I paid for some of it already, but I haven't been able to buy my ticket just because my flight, it's in February, like right after we finish, early February, and I just don't know what to do. I think I should just cancel it. Yeah. It's always this thing of like, what's good for you to be away and to have a vacation and to relax. And at the same time, when there's so much noise about what's going on, uh, you know, and insurance wouldn't cover it. And yeah, of course, I don't know what's happening, but it's just been, so those yes and no things are just not that clear to me what to
I mean,
do.
it's a tough one because, being away at any time in this period is going to be risky. Um,
You're encountering the ultimate transition.
Mm,
I mean, there's no greater transition than death.
mm,
And it is perfectly okay to say no to anything you feel in your gut you need to say no to right now. Any reasonable person is going to understand your no in the face
mm,
of this transition.
I mean, that's one part of the no. The other part of the no is it good for me that, I've said no to a lot of things because of this. So,
well, that's the thing. Is like you have permission to say no, but you also have permission to say yes. But I think what you need to do here is you need to look at, okay, so the risk is you are out of the country when you're needed, right? That's the risk. Contingency plan. So what if I'm out of the country when I'm needed? What would I do? Is that something feasible? Is that doable? If it is doable, then maybe it's a yes because you need this for yourself.
mhm,
So really think through like, okay, what am I afraid of? What are the things that I'm looking at here that are causing me to think I should cancel this? Or like you haven't made the ticket because you're like, what's going to happen, right? And that's because you have not thought through like if this then that, if this then that, if this then that. So give yourself a little space to think about that before you make this decision because I do think it would be very beneficial for you in this time to take this time for yourself if you know that you have a plan for eventualities.
mm. Yeah, and
I mean, most
I
airlines
do
will
understand.
change your ticket for bereavement, or for like, medical emergencies and those kinds of things. So that's the kind of thing you could find out. Like, what happens if I need to come back early? How fast could I get back? Will that be fast enough? Those kinds of things are part of this decision.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks.
Um, okay. So, Elizabeth, there's a bunch of useful things for you in the chat, I think. But what you can do is if you go to the three dots menu at the top of the chat, you can save the chat and then you'll have all of the links for yourself and all of the messages. Can you see it? Okay. All right. Well, thank
And
you.
then
Yeah.
where is it saved? I mean, I've saved it, but where is it saved?
It's downloads to wherever your downloads go. So
Okay, great.
downloads folder or something like that. Desktop, maybe.
Yeah,
Um,
mine goes in a Zoom folder. So if I just search my computer for Zoom, it shows up.
yeah. Um, thank you for sharing that, Elizabeth, and let us know if we can support you as we go through this. Okay, so to review, next week we're going to be doing the quarterly reflection discussion. So, it's not going to differ that much from what we're doing today, but there is kind of more of a format, and I'll probably go through what I'm going to do is live go through the planning questions, like what do we'll do a little bit of live workshop work like while we're there. So the reminder went out last week, even though we're doing it, not this week, but next week. So it's in Kajabi. The lesson is in the deeper dives in the Creative Focus workshop, and that's basically where you would look for all of that stuff. Any questions about that? Final questions or thoughts or things to add? Yeah, Bree.
The other Jessica, where do I get your transcript for today?
I have been linking that up in Kajabi
Okay.
on the notification for the call. So see if I can
And
grab
we've been
that.
linking it in the replays.
Oh,
So if
good.
you go to
Okay.
the replays page, once you post it, Jessica, we'll take it and put it into the replays. So basically on
Okay,
each of the
cool.
replays, there's on the video replay page, see the transcript.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I
Yeah,
guess,
in
yeah.
fact, I share, I can show you. Doo, doo, doo. So in Kajabi, ba, ba, ba. Let me find an example. Here we go. So momentum system group coaching starting now, and then I link it up on that right away as
And then
soon as
I
it
take that
processes.
and put it into the replays page. So all of the replays, it takes an hour or whatever to get it up, but like
Yeah.
all of the replays have the transcriptions linked.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can see how much time I spend on momentum.
It's
Did not know.
not a high traffic space. I'm not surprised. It's totally fine. Elizabeth, the deep dive is quarterly planning or quarterly reflection. Yeah. All right. Let's wrap things up for this week. Thanks everybody for coming and great conversation. Thank you for bringing everything, and we will reconvene next week. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.